welcome to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by Zero Tackle. And Dan, it's another week of Rugby League where the headlines keep coming, the stories are out there, the bunker is killing us, the referees are killing the game. This is what we're being told. What's the big news?
We're staying away from the refs this week because I've had enough. We're going to talk about your favourite player and mine. Chad Townsend looks like he's on the way to Bondi to join the Sydney Roosters next year. Mate, the vitriol that's come from fans today on both sides of this argument. Where do you stand on the Chad Townsend to the Chooks?
Look, I've tried to be diplomatic. Let's use that as a word to say that I understand this signing, that it's a good signing and it makes sense. But on face value, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's shocking. And I've seen some Roosters fans try to cope by saying that, it's already come out that Chad Townsend won't be starting next year, that Sandon Smith and and Sam Walker will. Mate, he signed half an hour later, you're tweeting that conversation did not happen. Chad Townsend will be your starting 6 or 7 next year. Bookmark it, bank on it. I don't know.
I'm going to be positive here tonight, Terry, because later we're going to record something for the Sharks that will be very negative. So I'm going to get all the goodness out of my cold, dead Cronulla Sharks support and heart right now. I get why they signed him. They need a bloke who's played plenty of games to come and look after 2 young blokes. They need a guy who's a premiership winning halfback. I still maintain he was there when they won a premiership. He didn't win nothing. And they needed a bloke who, let's face it, Chad Townsend's one of the nicest guys in Rugby League. You're never ever going to see Chad got drunk or Chad's DMing people or Chad's this or Chad's that. He's the nicest guy in Rugby League.
Chad Townsend will never cheat on his missus because he is punching 3 bags above where he should be.
I would argue he's the most dull bloke in Rugby League, but that's beside the point. He's a safe signing. But this is the Sydney Roosters we're talking about here. Marquee signings, and you cannot convince me that Sandon Smith and Sam Walker are anywhere near a premiership winning halves combination. You add Chad Townsend, and it certainly doesn't get any better. On face value, this makes no sense at all. And the fact that Roosters fans who are used to signing cross-code superstars and are letting Manu and Suaalii leave, Ria Hargraves is on the way out, and they're trying to talk up a bloke that the Cowboys fans are actively cheering is leaving the club. They want to move him now for Tom Dearden and Jake Clifford. I danced when we let him go, and he won us a premiership. I never saw this coming. Last night, I accidentally put on NRL, whatever it was, on Monday night on Channel 9, and Gus Gould said that they talked to Chad months ago and said, look, his people initiated that, but they were happy with Toby Sexton and Drew Hutchison, which in itself is probably not the full truth, and they said, look, there's probably not a role here for you. And all the reports have come out that the Roosters have beaten the Bulldogs to sign a premiership-winning halfback. I've never seen a headline that was so correct and so incorrect at the same time.
Yeah, look, Chad, I love how they turn around and say that Chad Townsend's a premiership-winning halfback. His 2 biggest contributions were get headbutted by Paul Gallen and get knocked out by Christian Welch. So, look, it kind of makes sense for him to come in and play the Luke Keary role, except he's not Luke Keary and he's utter dross. So, look, the Roosters have got a plan, so it seems. They've been rejected by everybody and anybody who will have a conversation with him. And when they actually put a contract in front of Chad, he was probably like, yeah, no worries, and signed it. And they were like, this is probably the one guy we wanted to pull out of the deal. But fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's got the best manager in Rugby League because he's had a career that he does not deserve.
So Terry, moving on. I haven't fact-checked this because I don't care. It's too funny to prove incorrect. The West Tigers, the Parramatta Eels, supposedly, according to a few people on Twitter or /X, have said that, well, they can't make the finals. What are your thoughts?
Well, let's give that a quick check. Both teams are due a bye, which would take them to 14 points. And then 11 games is 22 points. That's if they won all of them. So the minimum they can both finish on is 36. Probably gets you into the finals. But look, I'll say this now: neither Parramatta nor the West Tigers are playing finals football this year. That's just straight up.
If I'd said that in the pre-season, that neither the Tigers nor the Eels would be there, what are you telling me?
I actually had Parramatta outside the top 8 this year for Newcastle, and you convinced me otherwise that we were to pick Parramatta. But in my ladder predictor that I did not have the Eels inside the top 8 because it's essentially the same team as last year, and you knew Brad Arthur was under enormous pressure. If you'd listened to us in the preseason, I was banging on that he'd be the first coach sacked. Second coach. I picked Demetrio as one after number 2. If you had the West Tigers in your top 8 at the beginning of the season, please slide into my DMs. Anywhere. Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Instagram. And I'll send you the number to a great therapist. Parramatta I could have heard a case for. I'm not here nor there on them. But the Tigers, mate. Even next year, probably the year... I know they're getting Jerome Luai next year. It's not enough. I reckon you're probably looking at 26-27 that the West Tigers will rear their head into contention for a final spot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We were both pretty negative on the Tigers. Surprise, surprise, we were far from the only ones. I'm shocked that Parramatta are sitting what is realistically last, only getting flogged by the West. The Tigers getting flogged by the Roosters kept them off the bottom of the table officially. But in terms of... This is where power rankings come in, Terry. I know they're your favourites. But you can't tell me those things are the same. Parramatta were expected. I still maintain they have a team very capable of making the top 8. Not now. They're gone as far as I'm concerned. But in the pre-season, whereas the Tigers were more likely, just avoid the spoon and let's consolidate for years coming up, blood some youngsters, etc., etc. I, at no point... Like when they beat us a couple of weeks ago, I thought, oh, okay, here you go Parramatta. Then I thought, no, Cronulla have no Nico, they have no McInnes. They're playing on a Thursday night. They've been up, they're due a loss. They just walked into an ambush. If we play them this weekend, I reckon we beat them. Mitch Moses had well, maybe not. Both teams suck. Mitch Moses had the week of all weeks. He was put in the perfect 10 performance for the Blues, and he was about a 9.5 for Parramatta. In the last set, when the game on the line, Mitch Moses touched the ball 0 times and had no issues letting his team know about it. That is why Parramatta cannot win. It cannot make the 8. I don't care if it's official or not. I'm marking right now. It's official for me.
The other reason why they can't make the top 8 is they've conceded 438 points. They are the only team in the competition that has cracked 400 against them. Not even the Bunnies' diabolical start to the year or the Tigers who have copped 50 piece, I think. Yeah. A couple of times, maybe. Yeah.
That's horrible. But let's move to some positive news. Sitili Tupouniua has finally, after many weeks of will he, won't he, signed with the Bulldogs. And I do not get this one at all.
I don't get it at all. He's not gonna get rid of Jacob Preston. He's not gonna get rid of William Kikau, and he can't play in the middle. I don't get it.
Me neither. Now, I do want to qualify just quickly that I said that about a lot of players earlier in the year. The Bulldogs have gone a long way to proving me wrong. Phil Gould said that we just bulk up players and we'll work it out later. At a stage, though, you can have a whole heap of good players. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a better player than, say, Jamin Salmon or a Kurt Mann. But those blokes can play multiple positions. Tupouniua's only really got one. Now, unless the Bulldogs want to play him in the centres, because he looked pretty good the other night against the West Tigers, can he do it again for the next couple of weeks until a player becomes available? I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. I'm happy to eat my words, but I'm going to say no. I just don't get this one. It's too much money to put into a player you don't need.
I think he is a safety net for the Dogs because, as you said, he's better than Salmon. He's better than Hutchison. He's better than Kurt Mann. He's probably better than anyone else they've got playing 13, but you can put him on the bench because, I really, really, really rate Jacob Preston. I think he's going to be an elite level back row and one of the best in the game. And I like William Kikau as well. I'm very high on him at the moment. But those guys know how to pick up an injury. Or in young Preston's case, because of his... Let's face it, I know he's not a rookie, but he's under 30 games. He's got all that enthusiasm and a sick mullet. he finds himself suspended for a week or two. So, look, it's one of the better players that they have signed, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is. He ain't playing. He's not playing prop, and he's not going to be a big minute 13. He's probably going to be a bench player for them. Makes their bench stronger.
Yeah, he does. I think 90% of back rowers in the competition are 80-minute back rowers. Now, if they see Kick-Out as a maybe 55-minute back rower and they just use him impact, because he's not known for taking the big hit-ups. He doesn't make you 300 metres unless he's making line breaks. And I'm a huge fan of his, and I think Preston's going to play Origin. I can see a 30-minute role, but for the money they're going to pay him, and the talk is the Roosters are going to kick in, I don't think it's matter. I don't think he's cheap. They've got 4 or 5 players already that can do that. I think ultimately you're going to see him in the middle. So that seems to be what was hinted at by people involved in the Bulldogs. No one said specifically because you work that out. It's not their player. You can't really talk about it. But that's what I feel, and I don't know.
Yeah, it could also be a move for Jacob Preston to go to number 13. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll leave
He's a good player.
Professionals. So. But we're here to make outrageous statements, and I don't get it. What I also don't get is the Roosters have been given special treatment. Let's call it what it is. With Marky Mark, who's a Wallaby Sevens player. I don't know. He plays that other game. He plays a bit of rugby. He's going to Paris, where he's going to play in the Sevens in the Olympics. Then he's coming to Rugby League after the June 30 deadline. And a few players, clubs and fans of said clubs have come out and said, "Oi, what's doing?" And I got to ask you, Terry, what's doing?
Well, it was stated today, and it was corrected today, that he was released from his Rugby Australia contract and signed with the Roosters on June 30. He's made the Olympic squad, and the Sevens, which is a different contract to Rugby Australia. So when he comes back, he's going to be playing for North Sydney. Who really cares? Like this is the thing. Like who cares? Honestly, we've never seen this guy play a game of Rugby League. What happens if he turns up in 3 weeks' time and he's absolutely diabolical? Then you're just going to... Those same people who are complaining about it are going to be laughing at the Roosters. He's going to come back via North Sydney in the New South Wales Cup or the Roosters or wherever they are in the New South Wales Cup. He might play round 26 or round 27. He's not going to be playing first grade towards the end of the year. Who cares? Yeah, whinge about something else. Whinge about Graham Annesley. Whinge about Ashley Klein. Don't whinge about this. We've got good players coming to Rugby League. Gone are the days where we lose players to rah-rah. Now you're complaining that they're coming over. Shut up.
I'm complaining that the Roosters have been given special treatment because if he's not available for them this week, he's off earning money playing in Paris, chasing a dream. Now, look, there's every chance he may get injured. Maybe this is a moot point. No, I don't hope that happens. I like what I've seen of this guy because I've only seen highlights. Full disclosure, I haven't watched a full game rugby union in probably 5-6 years. And that was a Waratahs game I got dragged to, and it was the worst decision I ever made.
Let me ask you a question. Name the Wallabies captain right now.
I can't.
Exactly. Who cares? This is a moot point. Rugby's crap. I'm glad he's coming over, and hopefully he comes over with a gold medal.
Look, well, yeah, that'd be nice. But Carter Gordon's also been cleared to come to the Titans. I think he's more likely to make the switch right away.
He has.
Come in.
He has. He was also released by Rugby Australia before the June 30 deadline, has signed his contract, and will be playing Q Cup, I believe, next weekend.
I'm okay with that one. I don't like the dispensations made for old Marky Mark. I promise I will get his name down pat. I couldn't even spell it, let alone pronounce it yet.
No,
so
yeah,
we'll get it later.
I've had a look at it a couple of times, and look, Mark's fine.
Marky Mark it is. Now, one that isn't official or even been backed up with quotes. There are rumours, Terry, and we love our rumours here on the show.
I love a rumour, Mel.
Zac Lomax has second thoughts about his deal with Parramatta, potentially looking at a backflip. Now, they did ask Shane Flanagan on NRL whatever on Fox, and he said, "I'm not going to write you a byline for you," which says to me, shut up. It's none of my business. It's none of yours. But it was a bit cheeky, and we've seen some journos come out and say, he's looking on a backflip. He was promised something. He's looking, and they're terrible now. I think, and I'm going to take this one first, I think he needs to go to Shane Flanagan, throw himself at his feet, and say thank you, Flano, for saving my career because I was on the fast track to Super League. I want to stay here. I don't want to go to that terrible nonsense at Parramatta. But he signed a contract and he has to go.
Look, Zac Lomax is a young kid. This is my. I'm being diplomatic tonight. He's a young kid, and he's been given the advice by someone that he's an elite centre. Okay, and Shane Flanagan has come in and said, out of all centres in the NRL last year, you ranked 28 out of 34, and it's not good enough. I think your attributes would be best served on the wing. This is coming from, say what you want about Shane Flanagan, but this comes from a premiership winning coach and a guy who took the Cronulla Sharks from the basement to the top and did what no one else could do, won a premiership and kept Cronulla relevant in finals for many, many years when coaches like Ricky Stewart and Chris Anderson and even John Lane ran out of ideas about how they were going to get Cronulla to the next level. If you're going to then turn around and go, I don't want to be coached by Shane Flanagan, I want to be coached by Brad Arthur. There's your first problem. Sometimes the young players, and I was one of them as well, you don't want to listen to your coach when they have a better idea for how you think that you play a game. But at the end of the day, more often than not, the coaches are right. It's as simple as that. His contract has been signed and lodged with Parramatta. There is no way in hell that the Parramatta Eels should even contemplate ripping that contract up and letting him go back to St. George. Brother, you were down on your knees at your weakest point, and these guys signed you because you wanted out of the Dragons, so much so that you were pushing for a release to go there this year. Now they're crap because they have no backs, and that's why you're going there, to play in the centres. Tough it up, show everyone what you're made of, have a killer year this year, out on the wing, go get your money at Parramatta next year like you wanted to do, take your medicine.
Yeah, I think any backflip now would be hugely detrimental to his career and his character. Mm-hmm. Look, let's face it, he chucked a wobbly when Shane Flanagan said you're a winger. Mm-hmm. He dangled winger. He's played 2 lights out Origin games and one was in ridiculous circumstance. He's got a couple of tries, kick goals. You know, the bloke is where we thought he would be 3 or 4 years ago, except one spot out. And his ego couldn't take that. And I'm calling a spade a spade. I'm not diplomatic here. I think he wins his way out of a brilliant situation. He's become an elite level winger to the point where Mal Meninga said, well, I'm definitely thinking he's going to play on the wing for Australia at the end of the year. And who would begrudge him? Honestly, who would begrudge him a spot on the wing?
Wingers these days are more important than centres. Like, in the years where you had Gidley, Gaznia, Cooper, Tahu, all those guys, centres were the ones that got paid. Mm-hmm. Now it's shifted to your fullbacks and your spine players. And now, if you're going to come to me and say you can pay big money for a try-scoring winger or big money for... sorry, excuse the French. I'm paying money for the winger. I'm paying money for the winger. Wingers win your games.
They do. They're freaks now, and they carry the ball out so often. I think Lomax he's made his bed and he's got to go with it. I'm hearing it's a lot to do with the Brad Arthur that was removed. He was promised something, it's been changed. I get it. But you also had the perfect situation, a premiership winning coach who got you into Origin and you walked out because you wanted to play centres. That's on him and he has to suck it up. I hope he plays really well for Parramatta. I like Lomax, and for a couple of years there I was real worried that he was going to squander his career because I said very early on, this kid's a lock. He and Bradman Best are going to be the New South Wales centres for the next 10 years, I said. Partially right, and he's a couple out, but that's all right. And Best has played a game. I just think it's a terrible situation that Parramatta is so bad. It's a hilarious situation, but he's got to cop it. He's got to go make them better because looking at those halves and those forwards, that's a team that he can make better and take to finals. I think that's his best course of action.
I'm with you.
You mentioned fullbacks before, mate. Now we see 2 superstar fullbacks return this week. 2 rep quality fullbacks. 2 Dalian medalists in Kalen Ponga and Tommy Turbo. Turbo will be in the centres, but both will return. The fact that Cool has been moved to fullback and not Le'i Hopewadi makes me think they're going to test how Turbo goes and potentially move him back. Do you think either team can make finals now that their superstar is back?
Well, I think the Knights are 4 points out of the 8 and the Seagulls are 1 point out of the 8. Something like that. So, yeah, they can both make it. Will they be making up numbers? Probably. Who really cares? The whole aim of the game is to win premierships. And how do you win premierships? You make finals. Mm-hmm. Whether you fall out in week 1 or you lose the grand final, the aim is to just try and get there. And you can't get there finishing 9th. I think Newcastle have got a bit of a tougher draw and especially on the run in. And also, if you read Barry Tui's tweets a few weeks ago, Ponga's actually come back a few weeks early because he was saying that it was going to be about round 19 that Ponga was due back. So, look, if he's fit enough, he plays. I wish him all the best because he's so good to watch. He really is. He's like he's one of my favourite players in the competition to watch, and he is one of the best players in the competition. For Turbo, it's centre. It's centres. If you put him at fullback, you're just going to get the Matt Moylan treatment, and you're going to keep wondering why his hamstrings are going. Matt Moylan at 5'8", played over 20 games a season. Matt Moylan at fullback couldn't last 11. How many games Turbo played this year? Under 10. Keep him out there.
I agree. Glad to see it. We've been calling for a couple of years. Newcastle fans are saying, look what happened last year. They were in a worse position than they are now, and Ponga's come back earlier, I believe. I don't think it was after Origin. And he went on a run that was pretty much unparalleled. I think he was man of the match 6 out of 7 games, and he was second best on ground in the 7th.
9 out of 11 games, he was man of the match.
That is ludicrous. I'm going to say, and I hate to be a downer here, he can't do that again.
I hope he does. That'd be sick.
It would be good. Now, I think Newcastle are in the running. I think Manly are going to play finals football. I love what I'm seeing from a lot of their players. Post-Origin, I think Ala Kawatu and Cherry Evans are just going to go whooshka. They'll finish probably 7th or 8th. I don't think they're premiership threat, but with Tommy Turbo at centre, who knows? Maybe they are. I'm going to say Newcastle, just to go against you, are just going to fall a little bit short. But obviously, despite some fans saying, they're running well, why bring back a player? It's Caleb Ponga. You're paying him like $20 million a year, so reported some $1.5 million, I think, is his legitimate contract. You got to play him every chance you get.
Let's have a look at the Knights run in. They play the Raiders away this weekend. They've got Manly away, Brisbane at home, the bye, Penrith away, Tigers at home, Sharks away, Rabbitohs away, Titans at home, Dolphins at home. Bit of a rough draw.
Yeah, it's not the hardest though. You probably got half easy games, half not. It's just going to depend how well Ponga plays. If he hits form like last year, they can go all the way.
Let's have a look at Manly. They've got Cowboys away, Knights at home, Titans at home, Roosters away, a bye, Raiders away, Warriors at home, Tigers away, Dogs away, Sharks at home. Much of a muchness. One of them is going to miss out.
I'll go Manly. I think they're just a little bit better.
What, Manly's going to miss out or Newcastle's going to miss out?
Newcastle will miss out, Manly make it. As much as that pains me to say. Xavier Coates, Gornskis will miss Origin. What a shame. Selwyn Cobbo, though, pretty handy replacement. As the resident Queenslander, turncoat, what are your thoughts about Selwyn Cobbo coming back in?
Should have been on the bench in game 1. What a surprise, we got an injury. Should have been on the bench in game 2. What a surprise, we got an injury to Hammer and then forced Hammer to go back out there. Cobbo would have been absolutely perfect. I think it's great that he's on the wing. Capewell's got to go. You need to bring Feeder back into the team. You've got to find a way for both Fermor as well. That's it. That's all I'll say.
It's a good shout. I'm a little bit worried by the fact that he was dropped for game 2. Says to me maybe something's going wrong, and he came out and said that he made himself unavailable. But Latrell Mitchell also made himself unavailable for game 1 and came out and was almost perfect in game 2. I ain't worried.
Billy Slater came out before game 2 and said that the reason why they didn't pick Selwyn Cobbo, despite the fact he was awesome in Origin 1, is his club form was down and didn't warrant a get in form. Said that in one hand and you really agree with it, then he goes and does something stupid like picking Kurt Capewell. Yeah. Billy, I know you're going to watch this show later on tonight. Pick Cobbo on the wing, get Fafita back in the team, find a spot for Beau Fermor, probably at the expense of Felice Kafusi in that ridiculous haircut. You're welcome.
I'll tell you what, I think Terry's pretty much nailed it.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Knock On a podcast brought to you by the great people at Zero Tackle, your one-stop shop for everything rugby league. They've got all the headlines, the news, the gossip, the transfers, your up-to-date contract statuses, everything that you could want in rugby league. They've got the best independent writers, including Mr. Dan Nichols himself. Dan, last week, your hit piece on Graham Annesley, I viewed it, I shared it around work, it was amazing, but people said you were ugly.
Oh, look, well,
Don't worry about that comment. What have you got for us this week?
Well, thank you so much, and also you're all very hurtful. This week, as this hits the airways, probably this morning, hopefully it would have published. I've put 10 players that were signings, but turned out really, really well. Now, full disclosure, it's 100% on the back of Chad Townsend, who I believe is a signing. Don't think we'll see him on a top 10 list moving forward, but it did get me thinking, geez, not all the players come with huge credentials. And Scott's been working super hard, like I'm talking super duper hard, so shout out to Dids, on everyone's run in and what it'll take to get finals. I probably should have waited before I wrote the Tigers and the Eels off, because Scott's done the work. He's shown who's got who's going to make it, who's not. I'm looking forward to that because I don't have the patience to sit down and work it all out. But I guarantee you a couple of those top 10, you're going to go, I remember that player, and Dan's right, yet again.